there, and welcome back to our channel. On this channel, we talk about mental health with a special focus on dissociative identity disorder and borderline personality disorder. Today, we're going to talk about DID. My name is Jessica, and I am an alter in a DID system. And sorry for any background noise, our son is playing video games in the back. We wanted to spend some time today to talk about switching. Hey, it's Shell, just jumping in during editing. I wanted to jump on and give a trigger warning here. We do talk about switching and dissociation, and there is a switch on camera later in the video, so if these things are triggering for you, please take care of yourselves, and if you can't watch this video, we understand, and we will see you in the next one. And what it looks like for us and how it feels for us. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, just to go over some terms, because we don't want to assume that somebody who stumbles on our video is automatically going to know all of the terminology. So with DID, you have two or more alternate states of consciousness or alternate states of identity, depending on which research you look at. And that gets shortened to alters. So alters are the parts that make up the system. And when a part is in the body, controlling the body, it means they're fronting. And the process for the person controlling the body to be pulled back and somebody else to step in is switching. So with our switches, sometimes they can be really smooth. Like for example, if Mary's gonna switch with me, it could be just where it just eases through and it happens so smoothly that we don't even notice it. And it won't be until Mary has a moment of like, oh, I'm Mary and I'm here, that we realize that we've actually switched. Other times, the switches can be more drawn out. Those are more uncomfortable. Those usually come with vertigo, nausea, dizziness. We almost always get a switch headache after those types of switches. And what these feel like is just a long stretch of being really dissociated and not really feeling like we're fully in the body. And it can be really uncomfortable, and it can make it really difficult to function. So when we have switches like that, we tend to, like those would be the days that we call out because there's no way we're going to be able to function at work. Other times the switches, usually if it's like a negative trigger switch, it's like you get jolted into the front. So what will happen is it literally feels like you get thrown into the front, and it's really disconcerting, it's really uncomfortable. There's a moment of confusion over what is going on and where we are. Luckily, those types of switches don't happen very often, but when they do, they are really disconcerting. Now, there are also times where we have more than one alter in the front, and that is called co-fronting. And it's been over the past few weeks that we've really begun to understand what co-fronting looks like for us. What it can feel like is two of the alters constantly switching back and forth. But they're smooth switches, but it's like I'll be talking and then I'll transition to Mary, and then Mary will continue, and then I come back out, and then Mary and it keeps going back and forth. And we figured out like that's co-fronting for us. And I keep using Mary because she's the one alter I know that saying her name isn't going to trigger her to the front. And we've already spent the morning rather blendy, so now that I feel like I'm fully in the body, I want to keep it that way. So as far as what our switches look like on the outside, we've been told by a couple of different people of what it does look like. And a very common thing that we do when we're switching, and it's one of the longer switches, because those longer switches, they can be over minutes or they can be over hours. If it's a switch taking place over hours, those are the switches where we can't function. But the ones that can take a minute or two. Those ones still affect us, but it happens a lot more quickly, so we're able to move on. But we tend to do this a lot, and I think it's because, like, especially Shell, our host, gets really embarrassed about the DID, and so even for the people who know about it, she gets really embarrassed switching in front of them. So doing this is a way of protecting ourselves from being seen, because like our hand is covering our face. It also is
it's like the OG. Just get me at the speed of light. Come on, it's gonna be there. Sonic Blaster. Ha! Spear. Deadlocked. It's gonna be at the speed of light. Let's be honest here. It was gonna be there! We knew it! We knew it! We knew it!
So, sorry about that. It's Brittany now, and that was not planned. We did not plan to switch in the middle of this video, and we were really trying to keep Jessica up front as long as possible, but apparently that's not happening. So I think she was talking about how it looks to other people when we're switching. You just witnessed one way that it can look. We can just kind of be staring off into the distance, and like everything just goes blank. And even for us, it feels like we just go blank, like there's nobody in the body. And so that's why we get like that dissociated stare. The ones when we're able to cover our face, we do that as a form of protection, but also it can come with dizziness, and we will do this and close our eyes until the dizziness passes. Other times you won't notice a switch at all. It's those smooth switches that just kind of go like that. You're not going to notice from the outside that we've switched. And because we are a covert system, meaning our symptoms aren't obvious and we mask a lot, we can switch multiple times in the middle of a conversation and the other person won't know. Now, one thing about our system that may be different to other systems is we don't have immediate amnesia. Our working memory is pretty good. It's kind of like when we come to the front, either we've already been close to the front, and meaning we were co-conscious, we are aware of things that are going on outside of the body, we're just not in control of the body. And so a lot of times the person who's coming to the front has already been co-conscious and therefore already knows what the situation is. Now, the times where the alter wasn't co-conscious, it takes like a minute to get kind of like a download of the immediate situation, and then we can continue on with the conversation. And sometimes it could lead to like a lot of topic changes if there's a lot of switches in the conversation, but we have ADHD, so it's easy to just blame it on that.
Fixing those bad transitions, redoing a mad block design, adding more glow. Just one more sound effect.
So some systems will get blackout amnesia between alters, meaning when an alter comes to the front, they don't have any information about what's going on around them, and they have to kind of figure out what's going on with like context clues. And sometimes people will leave notes for their alters so that they have a way of knowing, like, oh, this is what's going on and this is what's supposed to happen. Sorry, I'm still really dissociated. So we don't get that blackout amnesia, which I think possibly is also part of why our switches, those smooth switches, can feel like we don't even notice that we switched, because we're sharing the memory, and so there's no like, oh my gosh, where am I?
Don't release today, but not done.
Hi, this is Cameron. We are apparently going through a period of rapid switching, which is when switches happen really quickly, one after another. For us, rapid switching, the switches can be seconds apart or minutes apart. And because it feels like that's what's about to happen, and that would just leave us dissociated through the rest of the video, I'm gonna cut it off here. But if you have any questions about switching, or you want to tell us about how your system experiences switching, leave a comment down below. And until next time, take care and stay well.